Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live. My name is Tom Litch. I'm happy to welcome you to us, and you've arrived on a great night because I have two friends with me, Joe Foki and Dax Oliver, who are going to be singing with us tonight. The two of them and I and a bunch of other talented people, we sang for the Vail Jazz Festival for a Sunday morning gospel hour several years in a row. And I'm just so happy to have them here sharing their gifts along with the Mile High Band. So please help me welcome Joe Foki and Dax.
Ain't no need in worrying what the night is gonna bring, 'cause it'll be all over in the morning.
Ain't no need in worrying what the night is gonna bring. No, it'll be all over in the morning.
There's a fear of nightfall when darkness comes and covers all the day.
Oh, sometimes we feel pain. There are things that we can't change, but just pray, pray. Ain't no need to worry what the night is gonna bring, 'cause it'll be all over in the morning.
Troubles come, but they do pass. Heartache hurts,
But they don't last
always. Hey.
Sometimes we feel pain. There are things that we can't change, but just pray, pray, pray.
Ain't no need to worry what the night is gonna bring.
No,
It'll be all over in the morning. In the morning, morning. It'll be all over in the morning. In the morning, morning. It'll be all over in the morning. In the morning, morning.
oh, dust yourself up and pick yourself up and know that it will be alright.
Be all over
Oh, in the morning. In the morning.
in the morning.
Oh, it'll be
all over.
when darkest day, when the darkest hours just before the day. No, it'll be all over
In the morning.
in the morning.
Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning light.
And
It'll be all over
in the morning.
in the morning.
In the morning. Yeah.
Morning. It'll be all over.
Over.
Oh.
We are blessed tonight to have Joe Foki and Dax with us. Oh, well, then they have another one coming in just a minute. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live here at Mile High tonight, and we are so glad that you have joined us. And it's spring today. Did you notice we went from winter last week to spring today? And just in time, Dr. Michelle has an awesome message for us tonight about spring cleaning. You know, one of my favorite quotes around spring cleaning comes from Marie Kondo, from her book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And she says, keep only those things that speak to the heart, then take the plunge and discard the rest. By doing this, you can reset your life and embark on a whole new lifestyle. And so we're going to hear another one now from our wonderful music this evening, and welcome.
I've been told that I am worth it, and that's not up for compromise. But reality is different sometimes. This world just won't recognize that I care, and I will. I am strong. This is real. So when it feels like my good ain't good enough, and when it seems like all my hope is lost, and when it feels the world is caving in, I must remember,
Count my joy
when I need a win so badly, and it seems there isn't one in sight. I remember all the others, close my eyes and trust God's time, 'cause I can and I will. I am strong. This thing is real.
when it feels like
my good
ain't good enough. And when it seems like all my hope is lost, and when it feels
like this
world
world
is caving in,
I must remember it. Yeah. This is real. I made it through before, so I know I can do it again. I just look to the hills for power within, 'cause I can and I will. I am strong. This is real.
Joy.
I woke up.
Count.
That's joy.
Count.
Breath in my body.
Joy.
That's joy.
Joy,
Friends and family.
Count.
That's joy.
Joy.
That's joy. That's joy.
Joy.
Grace,
Count.
grace and mercy.
Count.
Always
Joy.
right behind me.
Joy.
That's joy.
Count.
That's joy.
Joy.
That's joy.
Joy.
I'm blessed.
Count.
So blessed,
Count.
even when I'm stressed.
Joy.
No matter what
Joy.
comes my way,
Count.
I've learned
Joy.
to count it. I just count it. Joy. I'm loved
Count.
and loving. I have
Joy.
a future. Yeah. Hey, when it feels like it ain't good enough, like all my hope is lost,
and when it feels
yeah.
the world is caving in,
Wonderful. Woo! I'm so excited, I almost fell up the stairs. Thank you so much, Dax, and thank you so much, Jafoki, Jocelyn. Glad to have you here tonight. What a treat. And Dax is a new member of our staff, so you may see him around a little bit more because we're going to keep him working in the accounting department, so it's great to have you both with us. I also want to acknowledge the wonderful band tonight, Rob and Stu and Mike and Susan. Amazing. Great job, everybody. Oh, I love great music. And that was great music, fun music. And as Reverend Zamira said, we are talking about spring cleaning today. We're going to do a message. I thought it was nice enough to do spiritual spring cleaning. And for those of you who don't know, as Zamira said, it's very warm here in Denver. Lovely. It snowed very hard last week, and there's still some snow on the ground. Yesterday, my wonderful husband and I were sitting out on our new deck, and we're sitting there and baking in the sun, looking across the street at the neighbors whose houses face north, and they've got snow all in their front yard, and our deck is nice and warm and cozy. So that's Colorado, but spring is about to sprung here, is to be sprung. And so I thought that we could take some of the concepts that have to do with spring cleaning and apply them to our spiritual life, apply them to our spiritual growth. I looked up some quotes on spring cleaning, and I found a plethora of funny things that I want to share with you to open tonight. Robin Williams, first of all, said, spring is nature's way of saying, let's party. And that sounds like that Robin. And then that wonderful cartoon character, Maxine, who's a little bit grumpy a lot of the time, says, I always find something I've lost when I do my spring cleaning. This year it was my mind. And some of us may be feeling that way as spring is approaching, finding our minds again. And then pot shots. I just love pot shots. They're often really funny. Pot shots said, I'm going to start spring cleaning my house today. And by cleaning, I mean drinking wine and spraying everything with Febreze. That sounds like my perfect spring cleaning. I like that idea. And then this really fits me. I found a meme where a woman was saying, both of us can't look good at the same time. It's me or the house. Right? Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, Anti-Acid, who's always good for a giggle, says, I'm spring cleaning my head. This could take a while. And so tonight, that's exactly what we're looking at. Spring cleaning our head, our heart, our very life itself for freshness and for the newness and the lightness of spring. Many people do spring cleaning. They take a little time after the winter is completed to do a little extra cleaning of their home, deep clean floors and windows to account for mud and dirt that may have been tracked in during the rainy or wintry months. Lots of dusting of things that may have not gotten used in a long time. Put away winter clothes. Now, I've never been a person to do that, even though I've lived the majority of my years of my life have been here in Colorado. I have never been one to put away my winter clothes in favor of spring clothes, but I know people do that. I do remember putting away ski clothes when I was young and put away the heavy coats in the coat closet, deep into the coat closet, things like that. But that can be part of spring cleaning, a change up of our clothes. And this concept really appeals to me because it invites us to consider how we could spring clean our consciousness, how we could spring clean our perceptions and our life. And so there's three elements of the possibilities for spring cleaning that I've brought for us tonight. They are windows, dust, windows, dust, and what's the last one? Boy, I'm just so excited to talk about windows, I have to admit. I was so excited to talk about the clothing, the whole clothing thing, that I lost my whole track of thought there. So the windows. Windows get pretty dirty with dust and, as I said, dirt as it's raining or snowing throughout the season in winter in many parts of the world and many parts of the our life here in Colorado, we get a lot of dust and dirt on our windows. And so it's important to clean those windows up at springtime. And I see windows as the perceptions that we have, the eyes that we're looking out of. And even though people might say, I don't do windows, I think it's important for us to be willing to clean off the perceptions of our minds and our hearts that have taken over on during the winter time. And I heard a story today. I was talking with a colleague of mine, colleague and friend, the Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes, who's the lead minister at the Unity Church in St. Petersburg, Florida. And she reminded me of a wonderful story about a couple who are in their home, and they've got new neighbors moving into the house next door. And once the neighbors are all moved in, the wife goes to the window to kind of look out and see how they're settling in, and she sees their clothing hanging on the line out there, and she says to her husband, I don't understand these new neighbors at all. And the husband says, what do you mean? And she says, well, they're hanging their dirty clothes out there on the laundry line. I don't get that at all. And she just shook her head. And the next day she went back and looked out the window, more dirty clothes hanging out there on the line. And she shook her head and said, this is just unbelievable. And the next day, third day, she goes and looks and she says, oh, finally. And her husband says, what? And she says, well, they finally hung clean clothes on that laundry line. And he says, dear, I washed the windows. Good story, and important for us to consider as we're tempted to look out at the world and see all sorts of things that are not as clean and right and righteous as we would like them to be. It's all about, this kind of spring cleaning is all about the spiritual courage and the willingness to look at our own perceptions of things, to look at how we're looking at each other, of how we're looking at life. This is an ongoing challenge for every human I've ever encountered, because we get pretty caught up in our perceptions. Indeed, our brains are practically designed to reward us for the perceptions and ideas that we have about things. And so it can be very challenging to let go of what we think is true. And in these past few years, and especially in this last year, it seems to me like there are people digging in deeper and deeper with their perceptions about all sorts of things. Strong perceptions, righteous perceptions, who's right, who's wrong, who's off base. And it can be so easy to get stopped in a perception. So I was doing some research and looking at what is it that causes us to get so righteous and so caught up in our idea of life and our idea of right and wrong and our idea of politics and our ideas of who should be doing what and what our family should be doing and what our kids should be doing and what they should be doing over there and what they shouldn't be doing? How is it that the brain settles in and gets caught up in that? And I discovered an author, a speaker, a scientist named David Brin, who talks about this in terms of an addiction. He says, while there are many drawbacks, self-righteousness can also be heady, seductive, and even, addictive. Any truly honest person will admit that the state feels good. The pleasure of knowing with subjective certainty that you are right and your opponents are deeply, despicably wrong. Does that sound familiar? Because I see a lot of that happening in the news and in social media. I see a lot of people arguing for their position on all sorts of things these days. And so we have to be willing to understand that this is often an addiction that we might be playing in that has taken over in those winter months and that we've allowed to come into our perceptions, and that part of cleaning our windows is about cleaning away and stepping out of this addiction. Now, there's good news, according to David Brin, who says, if this is an addiction, what might be an antidote or the treatment? Of course, the most obvious ones, he says, are self-awareness, self-observation, and even mindfulness. Addiction is the realm of the reactive brain. An effective way to move out of a reactive brain is to move into reflective mind. And we all have the ability to lead ourselves into our reflective mind. And he reminds us again that these things, self-awareness, being aware that I'm being self-righteous, self-observation, observing myself as I say that thing or write that thing that is full of self-righteousness, and mindfulness, which is all about being still and just noticing what we notice. These three things put us into a state of reflective mind. And it's important for us to break that cycle if we want to break the addiction, because righteousness can get pretty strong and pretty powerful. Before I read this work of David Brin, I also thought a lot about how is it that I have broken those addictions over the years, my own righteous addictions in my head, and realized that I often will pay attention to the opposite point of view that I so believe in firmly, often without any research, without any merit, without any reading, just, I know this is right. And I will challenge myself to listen to those who have opposing views, read about those who have opposing views, talk to people who have opposing views, and really listen with an open mind. And it feels like that activity also puts me into a reflective state. And so when I get really caught up, especially in this day and age, around some news story or some political idea, I will often invite myself to go find 3 sources that are exactly the opposite of what I think I believe, to challenge myself to really think and open my mind and see how it might be that people who believe the exact opposite of me might believe what they believe, because I live a life where I'm committed to connection and oneness. And I don't get to say that I'm connected to oneness and then be so righteous all the time. Those 2 things don't go hand in hand. Righteousness is separation. And so it's about looking at the perceptions that we have, and spring cleaning is allowing ourselves, when it comes to all of these issues that might be reactivating people and might be activating us, to really be willing to stay out of righteousness. To eventually, of course, maybe land on an opinion, a viewpoint that works for me, that serves me, but then not demand that everyone take on my viewpoint, because that's never going to happen. It's just not. That's the beauty of this garden of humanity that we are in. There are wildflowers, and there are roses, and there are daisies, and there are weeds, and there are all sorts of different expressions in the garden of God's humanity. And all of them have their right to be. All of them have their unique expression. And so if I can allow myself to clean off those windows of perception and see more clearly, I can see with love and light. The next one is to dust things off, to be willing to dust off things that haven't been touched lately, or a room that hasn't been used, or items that we haven't been interacting with in our household because it's been winter time and we've not been interested in those. And so for a lot of us who are sports enthusiasts, especially here in Colorado, it might be time to dust off those rollerblades or dust off all sorts of things. And we're seeing all sorts of energy beginning to happen around potentially opening up more, with more people being able to go out and do things and be out in the sunshine more. And so we as part of spring cleaning, dust off things. And I would say for us, in our spiritual consciousness, it might be time to look at our life, to look around at our life and say, what might it be time for me to dust off? For those of us who've been in this pandemic at home so much, felt caught in our homes, maybe even trapped in our homes, felt the burden of being homebound for so long, we might have found that our lives have gotten a little lazier, a little disconnected. So this area, I'm talking about, maybe it's time to dust off our meditation pillow, and to take some time to do some of that mindfulness that we were talking about in the last point. Maybe it's time to dust off our wonderful rollerblades, or our walking clothes, or our tennis shoes, instead of our couch, being on our couch all the time, or sitting on our chairs, or in our offices all the time. finding ways to get our body moving again, which is one of the great things about as spring and summer comes. We can feel that biological desire start to awaken us to get out and to move and to see the beautiful sun and to watch the flowers growing and to watch spring as it springs forth into being. And so it's about dusting off things that don't serve us, that might serve us, that we have set aside during this time. Dusting off those things and re-embracing them for ourselves and being creative and clever about how we can do that for ourselves. Recently, I was happy to be supported by Ken, my husband, in purchasing a Nordic track bike for us. And I've always been a bike rider. I love bike riding. In our neighborhood where we live, it's very hilly. We live up on Green Mountain, and it can be very challenging, even for the most athletic of us, to ride up and down these hills. And so while we have bikes, we decided to get this Nordic track, and it was great as it arrived and it's been snowy and cold, that we could ride the bike anytime we want. And moreover, we can ride almost anywhere we want. And so it's been a blast. I've enjoyed every minute of it to get up and get on that bike and say, I'm going to ride in France today, or I'm going to go take a ride in Hawaii, and all these places that I haven't been able to travel to, and the screen is nice and big, and I just ride, and the trainer, talks about the place that we're in and where we're going. And so I have dusted off my tennis shoes, and I have dusted off my workout clothes, and I have been on that bike having a blast. Now, eventually I know that I'll also go out and ride out in nature more. I'm not going to ride the bike indoors for the rest of my life. But during this time, I felt like Ken and I found this creative way to really engage that mind-body experience again, and to also expand our mind and travel to places we haven't traveled yet and places we haven't been to in a very long time. And so it's been a win-win. So I invite each one of us to dust things off and to wake up to that. The last one that I forgot earlier is the clothing. Again, to consider for spring cleaning, what is it that I've been wearing, and what lighter garb might I want to wear? Now, this is good for us literally, physically, in the physical world, to change out our clothes and to have clothes that are more seasonal, or to make sure that the clothes that are more seasonal are more available to us. But what does it mean spiritually? Well, I think it means a couple of different things for us spiritually. First of all, I can see that in the cold of the winter, how it can be tempting to put on a lot of clothing to stay warm. Our bedroom is very cold at night, and I sometimes go into the bedroom and I put on my nightshirt, and I put on my slippers and big socks, and I put on a shawl, and I'm wrapped up in these clothes, protected from the coldness, protected from the temperature out there, trying to keep warm. And I think with the challenges that have been going on, especially with the pandemic and the COVID virus, and seeing last week the marking of the death of 500,000 people to this virus, and seeing the things that have gone on our planet and in our country recently, we might have put on some clothing to protect ourselves from the pain of that loss, the pain of these challenges, the pain of the changes that have been going on, especially those of us in this teaching. I can't say enough that sometimes I find us in this teaching to think that this is all happy science of mind people. I've said this many times, and it's very important to me in my personal life and as a speaker to constantly speak out to those of us who are practicing science of mind and spirit, to understand that it's just as important for us to take off that heavy clothing that might be protecting our hearts, even though it might mean feeling pain. Pain for the loss of life that our planet has experienced. For me, more so than that, pain for those left behind who are having to deal with the loss of so many people. Pain of the grief of that loss. And we can be tempted to keep our winter clothes on through spring and to keep ourselves protected from that pain because we don't want to feel it, or we feel it's too big, or it will take us down, or if we open our hearts to feeling that pain, we'll never be able to stop. And so it might be just easier to wear enough protection to keep myself from that pain. But I believe that pain is a doorway to the heart. And if we look at the pains that we experience in human life, for most of us, pain is something we go through. I loved how Terry Cole Whitaker used to say, if you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death, don't stop and pitch a tent. Understand that yes, it's painful to look at it fully and look at the loss we've experienced. It's painful to see some of the things that go on in our world in terms of the news. It's painful, but the human heart can endure it, can withstand it, is strong and powerful, and can move through pain into heart connection. Whereas if all I'm doing is wearing enough garb to protect myself from the pain, I'm missing the good stuff of life. I'm missing my humanity. I'm missing the opportunity to connect and send love. I'm missing the opportunity to bring my light to those who are experiencing pain because I'm too busy keeping myself protected from it. So it may be time to shed those clothes, to allow ourselves to wear a lighter garb that makes our heart available, that allows us to see and be with what's going on in humanity, to come into the spring with an open mind and an open heart. And conversely, if we have so much pain that when covering ourselves with our little blankie and keeping ourselves away from other people, which some of us certainly have done because of this pandemic, but I mean literally even the people in our homes, or keeping ourselves protected so that we can just keep ourselves in our little safe haven, it might be time also to shed that layer, to step fully out and be with each other. This point, whether you're someone who may be protecting yourself by those clothes, or you've been hiding because you're in so much pain and you don't know where you can be comforted, this point is that we are one human family, and that there is help no matter what pain we've endured or experienced, what loss we might have occurred during this winter, and that the spring is a promise, an opening, a possibility that calls to us, that beckons to us, that says, come back to life. Step into life in all of its glory and joyfulness, and all of its abundance that flourishes forth, and all of its moments of pain and sorrow and disappointment. The whole kit and caboodle is available to us. All of it is available to us. And so I invite us to pay attention to this. Lily Pulitzer said, despite the forecast, live like it's spring. Despite the forecast, live like it's spring. That's my invitation to us tonight. To shed, to dust, to step forward and clean up our perceptions. And so as we close this part of our service, I invite each one of us just to take a moment to close our eyes and just take a deep breath. And just as if we were going to be planning to clean our home tomorrow or begin our spring cleaning, consider one step that we might take that would lead us forward in our spring cleaning. I know it might feel vulnerable, but one step, and then commit to doing that. Commit to living tomorrow and the next day as though the forecast was spring. Spring forth into life. Spring forth into conscious living. And now, here's some more music from Dax.
I believe Jehovah Jireh. I believe there's heaven. I believe in war. I believe a woman's temple gives her the right to choose, but baby, don't abort. I believe that marriage isn't between a man and woman, but between love and love. And I believe you when you say that you lost all faith. You gotta believe in something, something, something. Gotta believe in something, something, something. I still believe in man. A wise one asked me why. 'Cause I just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try. Girls try, boys try, women try, men try. You and I try, try. We all try. I don't believe in time travel. I don't believe our nation's flag is on the moon. I don't believe our lives are simple. And I don't believe they're short. This is interlude. I don't believe my hands are cleanly. I can't believe that you would let me touch your heart. And you can believe it when I say that I lost my faith. You gotta believe in something, something, something. Gotta believe in something, something, something. I still believe in man. A wise one asked me why. 'Cause I just don't believe we're wicked. I know that we sin, but I do believe we try. We all try. Girls try, boys try. We try, we try. Just try, try. We try. Gotta believe. Try, just try. Believe in something. Try, try to believe. I do believe. You should believe. Oh, I believe I do believe in you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dax. I believe in you. So glad to have you here. Well, we're going to step into the time of our service where we receive the love offering. But before we do that, I want to say that our greatest abundance really is you, your presence. And so we're very happy to let you know that on March 14th, we're going to be opening our sanctuary up for 2 services at 8 and 10 on that Sunday morning. And those of you who would like to join us, who feel comfortable joining us, can do so by signing up. The registration link will be open on Sunday, March 7th. So this Sunday it will be open. So we hope that you will consider coming back and being with us on an upcoming Sunday. So we're happy to be doing that. And we love the abundant presence of you virtually, if that feels more comfortable for you, and right here in this room, and so we're so excited about it. And as we go to share our tithes and offerings tonight, please remember that you can do so through texting us at 45888. You can go to milehighchurch.org and make a contribution. You can send in a check through snail mail to our address, and we welcome all those contributions, and we're so grateful for all the ways that you continue to contribute to this wonderful community. So as we go to circulate that good, please join me with an affirmation. If you want to say it out loud with me, this gift I give is God in action. I give it in love and joy, for I know that my life is blessed. Thank you, life, and so it is.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines,
Sister,
and picket signs.
sister,
Don't punish me
Sister.
with brutality.
sister,
Talk to me
sister.
so you can see what's going on.
What's going on?
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 What's going on? Ay, 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 ay. Ooh, ay, 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 ay. Do, 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 do. Father, Father, everybody thinks we're wrong, but who are they to judge us simply 'cause our hair is long? You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines,
Sister,
and picket signs.
sister,
Don't punish me with brutality.
sister.
Talk to me so you can see what's going on.
What's going on?
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 Ay, 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 ay. Ooh, yeah. Come on and tell me what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
We
on?
gotta start treating each other
What's
better.
going on?
We gotta love on one another.
going on?
Oh, what's going on?
What's going
Tell
on?
me what's going on.
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, what's going on is a whole lot of love right here. So thank you both so much for all that beautiful music this evening. And we're just going to ride that wave of love right into prayer right now. And so if you will join me in prayer, you can close your eyes. We're going to move into our community treatment. And as you move into this space of prayer, you can hold this prayer in your thought for yourself and also for those that you love. For we move into the infinite presence of divine love this evening. Just feeling that presence of the living Spirit, that eternal presence of grace. For we are held in the arms of grace this evening. And that grace is absolutely the holy ground upon which we stand, feeling that we are in a sanctuary of that divine presence. And so as we move and open our hearts, open our minds, deepening into this sanctuary of love, we affirm that love affirming it for ourselves and affirming it for those that we love. And so into this space, you can speak the names for which you are holding and sending out this wave of divine love this evening, knowing that this wave touches each one of those hearts. And that this wave of love also moves into the realm of our relationships, for we deepen in the intimacy of being connected and connecting within ourselves. That within our relationships, we absolutely are speaking with clear communication, with evolved communication, that we are speaking from the heart, that we are anchoring in that presence of love in order to communicate and to share and to listen, to activate that deep ability to listen and to be present within ourselves, feeling that divine spark within and present with one another. And so you can affirm for yourself this love within your relationships this evening, and also speak that word for anyone else that you would like to place into this prayer, claiming it for them, declaring it for them, knowing it is unfolding with such ease and grace in their life as well. And in the area of abundance, we absolutely know that God is our source and that God is abundantly always showering down upon us the blessings of infinite abundance. For it is our birthright. We are born in abundance, and we deepen to know and awaken in our consciousness, expanding into feel that abundance within our life, claiming prosperity, feeling it, embodying it, knowing it, and also calling that in for those around us right now, declaring that nature of abundance. And this evening, we also anchor in that deep peace, that harmony, feeling and knowing that that presence of peace is touching all those who may be impacted with a condition of illness this evening, whether it be COVID or other, that we feel that the cells are filled with the light of the divine, that physical balance, that alignment with that inherent balance is absolutely here now. So we declare it for those that we speak into this prayer, also claiming it for ourselves, knowing and feeling that balance, that wholeness. So we expand our consciousness this evening, feeling that spiritual spring cleaning, stepping forth as if it is spring and claiming that newness, that aliveness, that deep, vibrant presence of the divine. So it is with such gratitude that we release this prayer, feeling, embodying, knowing, and celebrating, releasing it into the power of the law, for we know that it is done unto us as we believe. And so with that declaration and that affirmation, we release it with thanksgiving. And so it is. I just want to thank you again for joining us this evening for this amazing Wednesday night live. And if you feel called for more prayer, you can submit a prayer request online at milehighchurch.org/prayer. You'll see it there on your screen. And then you will want to be sure to tune in this Sunday, because Dr. Michelle is coming back and she is going to share a 2-part series that she's launching this Sunday on the power of prayer. You won't want to miss it. And then join me next Wednesday, because we are going to be diving in for another 2-part series on Gabrielle Bernstein's book, The Judgment Detox. And we are going to put love back on the altar of your life. And so back to the band.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more I pray